The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening to everyone. My name is Manish, and thank you so much for joining in. Today is the last session. Would be very interesting. Apart from the topics that I intend covering, let me just share my screen one moment. Yes, you should be able to see my screen now. So, apart from the topics mentioned on the screen that you see right now, we would also be doing two other things. One being a complete recap of all that we have discussed so far, just to as a kind of a refresher of sorts. And second, we would attempt the certification exams, one being the pre-sales and the other being the implementation phase one. I will stay along with you till the time you attend it. So that's the plan. I'm giving everyone a few more minutes to join, and we'll start in exactly about a minute or so. People are joining in. Thank you so much. Let's give everybody another a minute or so. I'll mute the lines and I'll come back again. Sorry, I'm doing it at the last moment, but I just want to be very sure I'm capturing all the topics. All right. We still have people coming in. I think being the last day, and more importantly, not only being the last day, but also being a Friday, the whole thing is rather slow, I would say, and rightfully so. You have been a great audience. Thank you so much. And thank you for making the whole thing, the entire all five sessions, extremely interactive. So we'll start in about a minute, I would say. And as I said, the topic of discussions are what you see on the screen right now. There is also I would say, by the end of the webinar, I was told just about yesterday that there is a kind of a poll that happens that lets you evaluate the faculty and whether the session was informative or not. And thank you so much for giving me high ratings, I would say. That's actually very helpful. More than helpful, it's very reassuring. So I think let's get started. Thank you so much for joining in. And I think people will, as we move along, people will start joining in. Just a quick one. Just want to show whether I'm audible enough or not. Just if you could just raise the hand so that I know I'm audible. And thank you, David. Thank you, Daryl. Thank you, Jim. Thank you, Jeff. Thank you, everyone. So with that said, as I said, the topic of discussion today is going to be a slightly fast-paced session today. I want to cover a whole lot. I want to start with something that I should have covered in the first session. I did though briefly, but I'll talk about licensing in general. Licensing is slightly beyond a point is slightly complex. So I'll talk at length about that. The licensing is not really covered in the certification exams, but now that I have all your attention, it's important I talk about the licensing. I'll very briefly talk about iVend e-commerce. I remember the first day the application misbehaved, and I was told it is more because I'm trying to use an iVend e-commerce over a GoToMeeting session, so there are some network-related challenges because of which the application was rather slow. But I'll still talk about iVend e-commerce. A broad overview as to what does the application actually do. We'll spend some time on loyalty. We'll talk about iVend loyalty, the different options available, different levels, redemption policies, accumulation policies, redemption plans, special days, interplay of loyalty with promotions and product groups, etc. So we'll talk about that. We'll talk about mobile point of sale, the basic setup and its configuration. As far as fulfillment using iVend Mobile POS is concerned, we did discuss that. I think I did show you twice over, but we'll cover that again when we're talking about mobility. We'll talk about the different options that different ways in which you could use iVend loyalty. And finally, I'll spend about, I would say, half an hour or maybe 40 minutes, if not more, on a complete recap of things that we kind of covered. This recap is more important because what happens is 5 days, such a big, huge topic, it gets overwhelming beyond a point. So one tends to kind of forget what all was discussed. So I have made a list of items which in my opinion, are critical from a retention standpoint and also critical that you would need from a certification standpoint. So you should remember those things. It's not a slide. I would not be sharing a slide to that effect because that will amount to kind of that'll not be a good idea. But I'll certainly talk about the entire recap of all the 5 sessions. So that's the plan. That's the plan. What I would like to do is let me open the slide, which I would use for licensing purposes. This is the one I think which is now fairly familiar slide, which it would have been a very busy slide initially when you saw it for the first time, but given the fact that I've been using it for the last couple of days, this I think should look slightly more familiar. So first of all, from a licensing standpoint, there are about 7-8 different modules available in iVend Retail. Some of them, rather most of them, are available in 2 different models of licensing. When I say 2 different models, one is the classical perpetual licensing model where the customer pays an upfront licensing fee. There is an annual software assurance, typically 20-22%. That's the perpetual model. And the other model is the subscription model, where it's not a cloud solution as we have been talking about. It's not a cloud solution, but subscription model is more of a payment plan rather than the cloud model, so to say. Just everything remaining the same. Everything remaining the same in terms of deployment. The customer has the option, the retailer has the option of opting for either a perpetual model of licensing or a subscription model of licensing. So that's the fundamental 2 very important things I want to talk about. Both the options are available. And when we talk about subscription licensing, we have to keep in mind that the subscription licensing is not a model where we are financing the retailer. What that means is that in a classical subscription model, you can subscribe to an application or a service, use it as much as you want to, and disconnect it. In this case, because the product essentially is a on-premise perpetual solution, there is an element of, should I say, minimum number of months that the customer has to agree to before they decide not to use iVend Retail. Obviously, never such a thing happens, but just saying. So that threshold is about 36 months, which is 3 years. So if a retailer opts for a subscription model, by contract, he is liable to stay with us or stay with iVend Retail for at least 36 months. So that's as far as subscription is concerned. So there are two different models, perpetual and subscription. Now let me talk about what are the different applications or modules which are available on perpetual and subscription. So in addition to the modules that I'm going to talk about, which is the enterprise server, the management console, the point of sales, e-commerce, digital passes, etc. In addition to that, we also have, I would say, productized connectors to the core ERP solution. So we have productized connectors to S/4HANA for retail, SAP IS Retail, SAP Business One, Business Central 365, SAP 300, QuickBooks, etc. So we have productized connectors for different ERPs, and these are all licensed components. So they have in the perpetual model, they have a perpetual licensing fee, and then they have software assurance. We call it software assurance. Most of the retail solutions call it software assurance. There is a difference between software assurance and annual maintenance contract. The two are slightly different, and I'll come to that difference when we talk about licensing in subtle more detail. So let's get started. The first, so in this busy slide, the first one is at the core of the solution is the iVend Enterprise Server. The iVend Enterprise Server as such, the box would have the application called iVend Management Console. So iVend Management Console is the application name, and it could be used, it obviously would be used by the back office operators. So the first thing is that the iVend Enterprise Server, or the management console at the head office, let's call it that for easy reference. The management console at the head office is included in the entire application landscape. I don't want to use the word free, but I just want to have a different synonym, but now they use the word included. So the management console at the head office is included. So is the first back office user at the of the management console at the enterprise level. So one back office user, and the management console at the head office is included in the entire application landscape. All subsequent users at the head office are a licensed component. Similarly, the management console is in itself a licensed component. What that means is, of course, a licensed component. Now, it has two different ways it could be deployed. The management console could be licensed as a CAL device. That means it could be a device-based, a device-based license, not a CAL license, a device-based license. So let's say you subscribe for 5 devices. So you can deploy it only on any 5. You can't deploy on the 6th device. The other way to license management console would be by CAL license, by user licenses. That means you license 6 users. Okay. These 6 users could use the application wherever. As in, like, you can deploy the application in multiple different terminals, but more than 6, let's say, but only 6 of the named users would be able to use the application. So that's what the point I'm trying to make here is. The management console licensing, apart from being perpetual or subscription, is we also offer the functionality or the feature where it could be licensed either by device or by user. Okay. If it is user-based, then it can have multiple devices. If it is device-based, it can have multiple users. So depending upon how the retailer wants to use the application, we offer both the options, device-based or user-based licensing for the back office operations, as in the management console. The same concept is applied at the store level, because the store also uses the management console application. So the first back office user is included. All subsequent back office users are licensed. However, the store per se, the store has a license in itself. The store is a licensed component. Okay, so let's say you have 5 stores, you'll have to buy 5 store licenses. When you buy 5 store licenses, the 6th, which is the enterprise, is included. So the store is iVend store, retail store, is a licensed component. Similarly, the terminal POS or the mobile POS, these are also licensed components, and they can be used interchangeably. If you have terminal POS licenses, you can return one and utilize the same one for mobile point of sale. So the licensing at the point of sale level is interchangeable between a terminal and a mobile device. So let me recap again. Store is a licensed component, point of sale is a licensed component, back office users at the store, one is included, all subsequent ones are licensed. Enterprise is included with one back office user, all subsequent back office users are licensed. The pricing of a back office user, whether at the enterprise level or at the store level, remains the same. You cannot mix and match users across. So there's a store user and a back office enterprise user. So that's how the core, the absolute fundamental of the licensing and the bare minimum that a retailer would require would be an enterprise, a store, and a bunch of point of sales. All the store licenses and the point of sale licenses are available both on perpetual and subscription. Okay, so let's move on to the left side of the table of the slide. E-commerce is licensed pretty much like, from a licensing standpoint, it is pretty much like any other store. Okay, but it has a different price point to it. Okay, so e-commerce licenses are obviously and predictably slightly more expensive than the store licenses. The way it operates is pretty much like a store, but its licenses are different. That's number one. Second, the e-commerce, iVend e-commerce is licensed for every domain. When I say every domain, I mean, let's say myretailstore.com. If that is a domain that I have, then I would need one iVend e-commerce licenses. However, if I want to have apparel.myretailstore.com and footwear.myretailstore.com and potsandpans.myretailstore.com, kind of different, should I say, sub domains of sorts, then I would need as many iVend e-commerce licenses. Normally, the kind of market that we operate in, which is like the mid-market, going all the way up to like 300 stores, they are happy with just a single domain. So e-commerce licenses are licensed for every domain name, and that's how that licensing works. E-commerce in itself operates pretty much like a store. And e-commerce, iVend e-commerce is available both in the form of perpetual licenses and also subscription licenses. Both forms of licensing are available for iVend e-commerce. Then the other component is iVend Digital Passes. iVend Digital Passes is a classical cloud-based application, okay, and it's licensed based on the number of notifications per month. So, as I was telling earlier, iVend Passes is basically a cloud-based solution allowing retailers to distribute coupons, gift cards, and loyalty cards via email utilizing Apple Wallet functionality. If you want to use it on the Android, you download an app called iVend Pass, and you get to experience the same user experience as you would do it in the wallet. So that's iVend Passes. It is licensed by so many notifications a month, 10,000, 50,000, 100,000, and so on and so forth. That's as far as passes are concerned. Then comes the next bit, which is reporting and analytics. We haven't spent a lot of time on reporting and analytics. I think we briefly discussed on day one. But reporting and analytics, one form of reporting and analytics is what we are normally used to, wherein there's a crystal report kind of report that is generated, which is printed, and that's how it works. There's no licensing for that. Then there are dashboards. As long as the dashboards are being viewed and consumed, if you may, on a desktop device, which is essentially the back office, by the back office user at the store or at the head office, as long as the dashboards are being accessed on a desktop device, they are free. We also have the option of publishing of sorts, I would say, these dashboards on the web so that you could view these dashboards on a mobile device. In such a case, you'll have to license an application called iVend Web Viewer. iVend Web Viewer are licensed for every device, and that's a subscription-based license. Okay, that's provided you want to use it. You want to access dashboards on a mobile device. However, the entire scheduling engine, which allows you to send out campaigns, send out text messages, the scheduling engine per se is included. If you want to use a third part, if you want to use a SMS sending capabilities, so you'll have to license obviously Nexmo, Clickatel, or those kind of SMS services. Similarly, if you want to use a third-party solution like SendGrid, Constant Contact, MailChimp for running campaigns, you'll have to license that separately. However, iVend Retail allows you to send out emails from within iVend using your SMTP services. So the SMTP details could either be yours, as in your company's, or it could be a third party, the way I have done it using SendGrid. I'm using SendGrid for convenience purposes, but it's not that it's a limiting factor from an application standpoint. iVend Retail can pretty well use the SMTP details that you have. So that's as far as that bit is concerned. So these are a couple of moving parts. Then I have a few more, which is not listed unfortunately here. One is the forecasting engine. The entire forecasting engine, which we haven't touched at all, because I thought it'll be it's a slightly involved discussion. I briefly touched upon replenishment, which is included, but the entire forecasting engine is a subscription-based licensing that in the context of iVend Retail. Then we have customer loyalty management. iVend Loyalty is also a pure subscription-based application where it is licensed by so many loyalty accounts per annum. Okay, and if it is subscription, obviously it is always be because it is subscription, it will always be so many loyalty accounts. Yes, so many currency units for every year. Okay, again, it is licensed by 10,000 batches of 1,000, 50,000, 100,000, and a million loyalty cards accounts. And when you start for the first time, when the retailer licenses iVend Retail for the first time, we offer 1,000 loyalty cards as, again, I would not use the word free, but 1,000 loyalty cards are included in the first purchase. That means if you have, let's say, 2,000 loyalty cards accounts that you want to have, you can utilize the first 1,000 which are included, and you just license another 1,000. And typically, a mid-market retailer would have no more than 6,000 to 8,000 loyalty customers or loyalty accounts at any point in time. So we offer 1,000. The whole objective of offering 1,000 loyalty cards in the first initial purchase is to make the retailer start using iVend Loyalty as one of the applications. So that's as far as loyalty is concerned. I spoke about reporting where we spoke about web viewer licenses. And then we have the productized connectors, if you may, to the different ERP solutions, which are both available on perpetual as well as subscription licensing. So that's in a nutshell all about licensing. Very hurriedly, store is a licensed component, point of sale is a licensed component, mobile POS is a licensed component, MPOS and TPOS licenses are interchangeable. First back office user at store and the enterprise is included. Enterprise, you don't really have to pay for the enterprise server as such. E-commerce is a licensed component, both subscription and perpetual. iVend passes, digital passes, coupon, gift card, and loyalty cards, only subscription. Reporting and analytics for web viewer, only subscription. Forecasting, only subscription. Loyalty management, only subscription. And one important thing I forgot, which again is missing on the slide, is iVend handheld devices. iVend handheld devices are essentially devices using which you do simple elementary back office warehousing functions. So receiving of goods using a handheld device, good receipts, stock takes, stock transfers, item lookups, those kind of fundamental simple options that have to be done can be done using iVend handheld terminals. I'll show you one simple transaction on the handheld terminal. iVend handheld devices are also subscription licenses and not available on perpetual. So that's in a nutshell as far as licensing is concerned. I'm just covering this up because in any case, um, your your business development managers would be getting in touch with our channel sales managers in your respective geographies and get a better understanding of how the licensing really works. And some of you would have already gone through, as company, as partners, would have already gone through the sales and marketing enablement or the training session that is conducted, which are conducted by my colleague Paula in Sydney and my colleague Mia in San Jose in the United States. So those ladies cover the sales and marketing bit respectively. I just do the whatever I'm doing. So if you've already gone through those sessions, then your channel sales managers, your business development managers would already know how the licensing really works. The entire order management is done through iVend e-store, which runs on iVend e-commerce, and that's where the entire order management is managed. So that's a completely different discussion and a topic beyond the scope of this enablement. I'm just saying it because it is so related and connected. So on that, I'll just take a small little pause and try and take questions if there are any, which I think there are. Jim wants to know, for e-commerce licensing, you say it's a domain-based. Can you transfer the license to a different domain? Yes, you can. You certainly can. The licenses can be transferred. Alex wants to know, is there a description on modules licensing in knowledge base? Could you please provide a link? I won't say license, maybe licensing is described there, but I certainly can give you a link which talks about iVend retail, a generic overview. Let me just very hurriedly look that up for you. One moment. 1 second. I have to log in here. Because I know I wrote one article which broadly talks about who we are, what do we do, different license components, how does the licensing really work, what is the support, all that good stuff. All that I just spoke about is also mentioned in that article. 1 second, let me try and look for it. What was it called? Overview. Overview or introduction, maybe something like that. iVend Retail Overview and Architecture. That's what this article is all about. Recently updated. So this talks about, the product overview, the same slide that I was talking about, okay, and all the good stuff. So if you see here, iVend Enterprise can either be deployed on premise or hosted on a data center. Okay, we talk about hospitality as the add-on. We talk about optical retail as the add-on, where we utilize iVend, built on iVend extensibility. And then I go on and talk about iVend Enterprise, Store. I talk about e-commerce, digital passes, mobility, etc. Then I talk about licensing, as I said, perpetual and subscription. This is the one which talks about, etc. And then you can always look for these brochures, which will give you an understanding. So there is an article which does talk about what I just said. You could typically use it. Let me just send everybody that link. Chat. I'm sending this in the GoToWebinar chat, so you will be able to see that. Let me see if there is any other question. Okay, Robin wants to know, is the licensing engine able to monitor whether the client, when the client user licenses? Oh, yes. So the question is the licensing engine able to monitor when the client user license is about to expire and identify the client? Yes, certainly. So what happens is, let's say you license the entire application 1st of July. Okay, so what we do is we run the software assurance engine on an annual basis. So what we do is we'll give you a license which runs from July to December. We'll charge you only for that, July to December, and then it comes. So what happens is 2 months before the expiry of the license, the application will start giving you an error message. I wouldn't say an error message, but a warning message that your license is going to expire in 2 months. And it'll happen every day. It'll happen every day. And the the partner would present to you, the partner would present to the customer the renewal licenses, the invoice for, we call them upgrade licenses. So listen to this carefully. The renewal is for the ability to upgrade. So what happens is, if you're running a perpetual licensing model, you are well within your rights to decide not to buy the software assurance for the second year. First year it is mandatory. For the second year, as a customer, you can say, Manish, everything's running fine. Don't touch it. Don't try and fix it if it is not broken. I'm happy with it. Okay, I don't think I need your software assurance licenses at all. In that case, we issue a license which runs till perpetuity. The point I'm trying to make here is that the renewal of the licenses, the renewal of software assurance, is for the renewal of the capability and the ability to upgrade the setup should there be a need. That means on a periodic basis, we come up with hot fixes, patches, upgrades, updates, etc. So if you are covered under software assurance, you get all these upgrades and updates for free. If you are not, then you have to first get yourselves regularized as far as your maintenance cycle is concerned, your software assurance cycle is concerned. So you pay for whatever time that has gone by, and then you pay for, there's a reinstatement fee, and then let's say you missed for 2 years, so you pay for 2 years and the current year and the reinstatement fee. So that's how so that's what, Peter, I'm trying to explain. What is client about to take if the software is sent? So it's basically what happens is how do I say that? I don't want to use the word penalize, but what I want to use the word is that there is a reinstatement fee. Now, the good thing that happens is our retention rate of customers globally from a software assurance standpoint is about 97, 98%. So that's a reasonably high number. It, everybody's panic stricken if a customer says, I don't want to renew the licenses. Something should have seriously gone wrong somewhere. Normally it doesn't really happen. So that's as far as renewal of licenses are concerned. So the renewal is to the extent, we call them upgrade licenses. Basically that license is a license to upgrade to the next version. Are you getting the upgrade license or not? Robin wants to know, let me read the question. As a partner, do we have the view of the iVend clients, or is it only within the city? Also, are the updates automatically sent to the client, or is it a partner responsible to apply the upgrades? Okay, 3 very important questions that Robin is asking. Do you as a partner have access to iVend clients? You will have access certainly to all your clients. When we talk about eStore, you will have access to, it has a dashboard which says such and such customer, such and such renewal date, so many licenses, what has to be renewed, when is the renewal date. And then in that eStore, you can define, let's say, head of sales, then business development manager 1, 2, and 3, and you can set up a hierarchy. So one applies for an additional discount, you may approve, not approve. So the workflow there. It's a completely different topic of discussion. But short answer, as a partner, do we have the view? You have the view of your own customers, not customers globally. The second important point is upgrades and updates. Now, this is again a very big differentiating factor between what iVend Retail does and what the others do. So what happens is the upgrade are over-the-air updates. We call them over-the-air updates. What that means is, imagine in this diagram, the iVend enterprise constantly pulling a location, whether the upgrade is available or not available. If there is an update that is available, in the system tray, you see this, okay, no, not that's at all. iVend Configuration Manager. So iVend Configuration Manager at the head office level, okay, would turn from blue to orange. It's currently is blue. Okay, it's currently is blue. This thing will change from blue to orange. When it changes from blue to orange, you will have the option as the person at the head office to see what is the upgrade information, whether you need that upgrade or not in the first place. So you can view this from the system tray. Once you decide that, okay, fine, this is something that we really need, you start the upgrade process. The upgrade or the update process happens as a top-down approach. So the first thing that gets updated is this, and then the updates utilize the replication engine, go to the store. The store gets updated, and then the moment you do an end of day at the point of sale, the next time when you launch the point of sale will get updated. So it's an over-the-air update. No intervention in terms of, you don't have to go from door to door to point of sale and store to store to deploy any kind of update or patches. It happens automatically. Which also means to say, let's say you want to modify a receipt, a simple transaction receipt, and you want to say Merry Christmas. You could modify it at the head office or the central level. It'll automatically go to all stores, all point of sales at the first replication cycle, which could be as frequent as 30 seconds. So that's how the replication works. We are, I would say, slightly ahead of the curve when it comes to update and upgrades. It happens over the air automatically as a top-down approach. Okay. Yes, you're most welcome, Robin. Thank you. Robin says thank you. Any other questions? Because this licenses are slightly involved kind of a discussion. I mean, it can go from something as elementary as what I just said to something far more involved. How do you get the licenses? Who bills whom? How does the payment cycle really work? And so on and so forth. All right, I think for now we're good. Let's move on to the next topic. So I think licensing has been adequately covered. Okay, so we spoke about the interchangeability of licenses. We talked about the back office licenses here. We talked about e-commerce licenses and the other subscription licenses. I think that's largely it. I think there's one more question. Federico wants to know, upgrade includes minor release only? Yeah, it includes everything, minor and major. The question is, do the upgrades include minor release only? What about major release? It is included. So for example, the current release version is iVend 6.5.6. Okay. My next one, which is coming sometime around middle of June, is going to be iVend 6.6. So all those customers who are on valid software assurance for 6.6 would be the automatic beneficiaries. So you have to keep in mind two things. One is that the license is available for you because they're covered under software assurance. What is not covered under software assurance is the services involved in deploying those upgrades. Normally it's up over the air, but should there be a need where the retailer says, why don't you just help me upgrade it, then the services are charged for. The next very important question that Federico wants to know is, what is the retrocompatibility granted for customization extension? There are two points that Federico wants to bring up here. So let's say I release 6.5.5 at some point in time in the past, and then I release 6.5.6. So one way to ask the question is, does 6.6 include 6.5? Yes. So if it is a minor release, 655 to 656, then 656 includes 655. However, if it is a bigger one, let's say 6.5.6 to 6.6, then it does, but then because there is a significant change, because I'm changing the version completely, because there's a significant change, the licenses are available. The retrofit at times requires intervention for the support. That's the first part of the question. The second part of the question is that whatever version I was running, I got my site customized. We got an iVend add-on done. iVend add-on was created and then deployed. So when we go to the next version, would the system automatically upgrade the add-on? No, it would not. Okay, so it's an add-on to the extent it is available within iVend Retail, but more often than not, the add-on will have to be specifically upgraded. I think so. There are two questions that Federico wants to know. I think both of them have been answered. John wants to know, Is there any UAT provision for updates? That is, do customers have the ability to validate and changes before the rollout is applied? Brilliant question. Absolutely brilliant. Let me try and answer this. Thank you, John, to have brought this up, because this makes me answer a very important thing, again, which most of the people, most of the retail application providers don't do. What that means is, so let's say you licensed 15 stores and you license, let's say, 30 point of sales, 2 point of sale for every store. So for easy calculation, let's say it's 15 plus 30, 45 licensed line items is what you have. So the first thing, that's what we do. So let's say the customer places the order on the partner places back-to-back order on City Access iVend Retail. All of us, between you and the customer, and between the partner and City Access, the chances are there are some payment terms. Let's say 30-day payment, net 30 days. So we don't let the customer wait till the time we realize the money. What we do is, the moment an order is confirmed on the e-store, we issue out a 15-day temporary license, fully loaded temporary license, to the partner, and that, by that definition, to the retailer, so that the work shouldn't stop. Okay, so that's the first part. Obviously, the payment is realized, the actual licenses are issued, life moves on. So the customer eventually goes into production. Now they start using 15 stores and 30 point of sales. They would certainly, such an environment require a UAT environment also. What we do is, we also provide those UAT licenses or test licenses or temp licenses, if you may, to the retailer, which are incremented every 6 months. So I give you a completely additional set of 45 pieces that you can deploy in your, let's say, UAT or a test environment, so that you want to apply the fix, test it out before you roll it out. You would like to maintain, as a retailer, 2 environments, or you would like to retain, as the partner on record to the customer, a parallel environment of your customer at your end. So we give you 2 sets of licenses. One is production licenses, which is running at the customer side. We also give you, it's 3 months or 6 months, I'm not really sure, but we certainly give you another set of licenses, equal number of licenses, which could be deployed on a test or a UAT environment. So I think that is what you're asking, that is there a UAT provision? Yes, there is a UAT provision for UAT environment also. You could test everything there and then you can deploy it. So thank you, John, for asking that question. A very important point that you brought up. Any other questions? I'll wait. I'll let you guys think through it and just wait before I move on to the next topic. All right. You can keep asking later. That doesn't really matter. It's okay. Let's move on to the next point. And what I really want to talk about is, apart from, in addition to this, something which is slightly more, I would say, intense. Okay. Let's try and talk about the item master screen. So let's kind of relax the atmosphere a little bit. Let's talk about the item master screen that happens in iVend Retail, because we did not talk about that at all yesterday or any of these days. So let's go to Management Console, Operation, Inventory, Product. Okay, and we pick up my favorite 100102 and open the edit mode. So I have obviously a code in a description, short description, long description. I specify the costing method, the sub-costing method. Okay, this information, if you have an ERP integrated, this is managed and maintained in the core accounting application. Otherwise, you can specify here, and I'll show this to you when I press the new button. What could be the costing of the sub-costing method? Specify the product cost. This, again, costing is all managed in the integrated world from the ERP. Define the product group, which, if it's an integrated to an ERP, this group comes automatically. The entire information comes all the way from the ERP, and I'll tell you what is it that we manage here. This bit of information comes automatically from the ERP. I'm giving the base price, specify the vendor, sales and the purchase tax code in case it's applicable at the product level. Then I specify, do you allow fractional quantities or not? Okay, so t-shirts cannot be sold in fractional quantities. I don't take them off. Discounts are allowed. Sale discounts are allowed. Then it says, do not apply sale discount on discounted items. You want to take this or you don't want to take this. So you control it at the product level, what can or cannot be discounted. Would you like to allow a price override? So whatever pricing comes, would you like it to be overridden? Then other stuff like, for example, does it have an upsell? Does it have an alternate product? Is it a matrix item? We did not talk about matrix items, and I'll show this to you. The other day I was not able to, I did not remember the number. So I'll show this to you. Is the item batch tracked or serial tracked? Okay. Uh, how should the batches be selected? Should it be manual? I think we spoke at length about the batch controlled items. As to how would the batches be managed. Should it be expiry first, lowest price, highest price, creation date, only one if applicable? Would you like to allow selling of expired items? And what is the expiry date required for a batch item? What is the expiry date for a serial item? Silly, but you can always have an expiry date for a serial item. Allow refund on expired items. Is it exchangeable? Is it a non-stock item? Is it refundable? If it is returnable, then what are the number of days after which it would not be, or the number of days within which it can be returned? Saleable, yes. Purchasable, yes. Whether it's a weighted item or not. This is a very important weighted item, and this opens a very longish kind of a discussion now around weighted items, catch weights. Typically, let's say chicken is an example. So you could buy the entire broiler chicken. It is managed both in pieces as well as kgs and pounds by weight, both weights. So weighted item, whether it's a weighted item or not. Does it have a package group? What is the package group? Is it a kit item? Is it an assembly item? Is it a dynamic assembly? Can it be laid away, ordered? Can it be put on hold? Is it tax exempt? Is it inclusively taxed or exclusively taxed? Very interesting point. United States, for example, North America, generally speaking, the taxes are not inclusive. So whatever the price that you see, you have to pay a tax on top of it. Commonwealth countries normally have the taxation included in the pricing. So the price that you see, the tax is included in that price. So how we just specify whether inclusive or taxes included, not inclusive. Default quantity, how many can you buy? How many quantities per transaction? What's the UPC code? Are there any alternate UPC codes? You can have more than one alternate UPC codes. Does it require an age verification? And if yes, what's the minimum age? Who's the manufacturer? Is it an open price item? What's the maximum open price? Is it a zero price item? Can it be sold at zero price? Does it have an open description? Loyalty points redeemable. That means if I buy this, can I buy this item on loyalty points? Can I utilize my loyalty points and redeem them for this particular item? What's the product URL? Is it a barcode masking? Because let's say barcode masking was a topic. So it could be a barcode masking could be fixed length or delimited. Okay. Let's see, let's view this. And this is what we were talking. I think, Robin, you had a question on this. So I'm having a product ID, price, and a quantity. Okay. So you can have, well, this is all non-editable, but you can have a barcode mask which talks about the date as well. Okay. Any comments? Then you have the image that you can supply. What is the maximum amount of discount? What is the maximum discount percentage of discount? Some user-defined fields, etc. that you can, if you have any, you can attach them here. So that's as far as the product master is concerned. I'm taking you through very hurriedly because nothing too great. It's just like any other product master. Then it also has an option. Let me see if it's working here. So I can see the details of that product in a dashboard form. Let it come up. It'll take a while to load up. So for that particular product, it says for a given date range, I can specify the date range. Okay. What has been the sales? What is the quantity in terms of quantity? total sales, YTD sales, stock cover for so many weeks, sales and refund trend in the last 12 months, online versus store, available stock and the stock value, and so on and so forth. Uh, Ordered versus fulfillment, product category and contribution, profit margin and percentages. So you have these dashboards available on the product screen itself, which give you this information. And obviously, you can have this dashboard somewhere else also, but it's rather logical to have it here. And you have something similar when we talk about the customer card. When you go to the business partner customer, and let's say my friend Edward, okay, if I edit this, I will have a similar dashboard for a customer also. If I click this, it will give me the entire historical information about the customer for a given date range. So it says what has been total sale, what has been last 10 transactions, what is the average sale amount, online versus store, sales YTD, last visited store, customer balances, loyalty details, sales versus refunds, online versus store, sales by product group. And then this is about the customer. The customer bought 84.57% of apparels, only so many of shoes, and etc. etc. So we have this information by the customer. Very pertinent information. Pick up any one transaction. It'll tell you, okay, this is what the customer had bought. Very important when we are in the business of specialty retail and we want to have something called clienteling. So I'll close this and go back to the product screen or the inventory tab. Somewhere I also have a question. Faizan wants to know, even though a set is setting at the enterprise, I still cannot enter my own product code. How do I capture the serial number that is not tracked? Didn't understand the question. The last one I certainly did not. How do I capture a serial number that is not tracked? Faizan, I think I'll open the lines. Give me a second. It'll be far more effective and easy. Hi, Faizan, go ahead.
Hey, Manish, yes. So with the first question is, when I create a new product, I don't want it to default to the custom series. I just want to enter my own product code. And I know there's a setting at the enterprise level that I've seen, but it's still not allowing me to do that. So that was one question. The other question is that I may want to capture a serial number against a product, but that the serial number may not be tracked in the system. So it's just literally I scan a product that has a serial number in, and I'm able to just enter a random serial number when I sell that product.
All right, so it's essentially, it's not a serial controlled item. It's just that on every sale of that item, you want to capture a number.
Yeah.
Would that be a way to put it?
Yeah, absolutely.
So what you could do is you could create something called as an item attribute. We could create attributes which could be attached at the item level or at the customer level. Okay, we have the ability to do that. So you create the item attribute, make it mandatory. Okay, so whenever that item is sold, the system will automatically open the item edit screen. At least, sorry, the sales edit screen. You enter the information about that additional number that you want to capture. Okay, and it gets captured in the application without really making the item serial controlled.
Okay, yeah, and is that auto prompted, or
you can do that?
Need to,
no, you can make it auto prompted.
Cool.
It is somewhere, let's say, transaction item attribute. You can specify, let's say in this case, I have a 500,000 of them. So you can capture an attribute at the transaction level. Let's say this one. Okay, so it's an item type. That's a sequence required or not. The validation type could either be none from a specific set or from a table that you have. You always pick up information from this table only. So let's say you have a table which has, let's say, 400 such serial numbers mentioned, and whenever this item is sold, you want to capture at the transaction level an item attribute only from that particular table, just get validated of sorts. You can pick it up, default pattern, etc. Is it integrated to the ERP? Yes or no. Is it active? Yes or no. Is it visible? Yes or no. And it's applicable on a sale, a refund, an exchange, special order, layaway, quotation, blah, 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 all the way. So you can just, the point I'm trying to make here is, yes, it's possible to define an attribute and then capture it. All right.
Cool. Thank you.
Okay. I'm sorry, I'll mute your lines back, but thank you so much for asking the question. All right, then I have another one. Alex wants to know how to generate barcode of a product if it is without the barcode. It's a very pertinent question. Again, thank you, Alex, for asking. What we do is, under reports, we have something called a create label report. Okay, so let's say I pick up this one. Say edit. It'll reduce the size of my screen. I'm so sorry. And I'll have to restart the machine, but it gives you a fair amount of understanding as to what I'm talking about. All right, so this is what I'm doing is I'm deciding the code description, obviously, the width and the height of the label, how many labels per row, what is the gap length, if at all, what's the max length, what is offset. So if I click this one and I start scrolling here, there's something called a data field. In the data field, it automatically picks up this information. Now, this is where we are different from most of the others. We provide an inbuilt barcode designing application. If it were to be a third-party solution outside, let's say iVend retail, it wouldn't have defaulted this information. You would have had to manually type it. Systems, because it is integrated, is smart enough to understand we're talking about item codes here. You could have product ID, any of these you can pick it up, any of this that you want to print on the label. Then go to the next one here. Again, the data field is a product description. It could be any of these. So to the point that you're asking, I have a product which doesn't have a barcode. Fair enough. The product, you would certainly will have a product ID and a description. What you really want to do is the barcode, let the barcode be, depending upon the label size that you have, typically, normally it is about, I think, 3 inches by 2 inches, or maybe 2 inches by an inch, depending upon what kind of the kind of product that you have. You drag this field here, you drag it from here, this one, for example. Okay, and then you go here and pick up the data field that you want to. This one. Let's say UPC code. You pick this up, you save the label, and you just print it. It's simple as that. A word of caution that it takes a while to kind of settle this down to the formatting. But normally if you have, let's say, a Zebra printer attached to it, you configure the Zebra printer, you start printing it, pick up the format as ZML or ZML, and just print it. It's very simple. It's a very simple process. You just have to decide what you want to print. So we not only print item labels, we also print shelf labels. So if you want to print shelf labels, you can always do that. So I will have to restart the application. I don't know why does it happen this way, but let me restart the application. In the meantime, there's a question. Let me see. Is there a yes? So Alex wants to know the second part of the question is there a way to automatically generate user barcode for a product? Yes, you can do that. You can automatically generate barcodes. System allows you to do that. Administration exit. Is it possible? Bernard wants to know, is it possible to generate 3D barcode? Yes, you can. It's more of a factor of your barcode application, the label printing application. You certainly can generate a 3D barcode. Yes, of course. It's just that when you use a 3D barcode, your scanners are rather different. You need a 2D kind of a scanner, which is rather expensive. And if you have a pretty large retail chain, then it becomes slightly cost prohibitive at times. But you certainly can print 2D barcodes. Then Robin wants to know, is it possible to configure the shelf edge label so that there is an item on promotion that it prints to say a different printer that we're using a different string like a bright? Okay, let me read out the question for everybody's benefit. Or better still, why don't I unmute Robin's line? Isn't it? Yes, Robin, go ahead, please.
Hi, morning.
Morning.
What I wanted to know, there might be a list of promotions a store will be running, and for it to stand out, is it possible that if the product is detected to be on promotion at the time, that it's not going to print its usual label, and rather it's marked that it's a promotion item, so it will print out a different shelf edge label, like a shout out, though it's the same size, it just makes a different color.
So you can, from a capability standpoint, you can, but if the expectation is that the system should automatically allow you to pick up, let's say, a promotion by any 5, or or let's say a promotion that 30% off. If you want to run a promotion, the system should kind of select the promotion, select the items in it, and automatically print that. I don't think it's possible right away, but it's something that can be easily configured or created.
Thank you.
What you would?
Sorry, just while I'm on the line, I wanted to ask you one more thing. I didn't go into too much detail with the shelf edge labels on my side, but what I also wanted to know is it possible to put, let's say, the unit cost of an item? I'll give you an example. Let's say you buy a can of beans, and they come in usually in different sizes, possibly a small size of 200 grams, another one for 500 grams, and another one for 800 grams. And they'll usually have different retail prices. What the store would like to encourage is basically tell the consumer, for every 100 grams, you're going to be paying, let's say, $5 on the small one. Should you buy the larger one, it works out in unit price back to, let's say, $4 for every 100 grams.
So what would you expect the system to do? I mean,
well, it will work out, let's say, the total price. Let's say we've got one for, my math isn't good this morning.
Got it.
Let's
Understood.
say
Yeah. So you're expecting it should do the math and do, let's say, price per 100 gram.
Yes.
And how do you want to print that? On the label, or as?
Yes, on the shelf edge label, just sort of like an indicator box that would define the user, or the users, or the customer in the store will see unit price. If I buy one, I'm expecting it should cost me overall this amount. So what I'm trying to tell my clients, consumers, is you buy the bigger one, you should kind of work out that it's cheaper.
No, I don't think the system will do that automatically for you. Okay, so if I go to, let's say, shelf label printing, and I pick up the products what I want to, let's say I want to add a product 100102, for example, add this. What I have an option is product ID, description, quantity to print, serial, batch, price, weight. You want, what I'm thinking is what you really would like to have is another column here which says price per 100 gram or price per unit, and print that. Yes. Currently not possible, but I think it can be done. I mean, you could create an add-on. You could write an add-on which inserts a column here and picks up the price, the quantity. In fact, picks up the price and the unit of measure. Okay.
And just divides it.
And divides it and puts it here. Yeah, possible. Theoretically possible, but that's a very interesting point that you bring up, in terms of how you could promote a particular item.
Yes.
All right. Thank you, Robin. I'm sorry, I'll have to mute you back for the benefit of the audience, but thank you very much. So that's as far as this is concerned. Thank you, Robin, for asking the question. Okay. Let's keep going if you don't have any for now. Let me see. Yes, that's good. I think I've answered most of them. In case I have not answered, you'll please excuse me. You can always ask it again, and you can certainly send an email to me. My email is, if you go to webinar control panel, you'll see my name and email there. A slight tongue twister, but you can just copy and use it. All right, let's keep going. So we spoke about licensing at length. Okay, we're talking about the very hurriedly and briefly. I spoke about the item master. We'll pick up a few more items, few more topics in this section: operations, inventory. We spoke about groups and classes and categories yesterday. Product groups are product groups, which is obvious. The first level of grouping. You could have additional two levels of grouping in classes and categories. Staying on the product itself, 100102. Staying on the product itself, there are a few more things I wanted to bring to your attention. One of them, obviously, I can see the inventory in case there is surcharges specifically for this particular item. Okay, this was the product attribute we were talking about. One of the questions was asked, I think Faizan asked the question, can I have a product attribute specifically mentioned? And finally, there's something called merchandise hierarchy. So we have the option of attaching a merchandise hierarchy to all the items. When you talk about merchandise hierarchy, in this case, let's say, for example, an apparel merchandise hierarchy, which has menswear, formal wear tops, ladies wear, casual wear, kids wear, boys bottoms, etc. So I can specify I can create a merchandise hierarchy somewhere in the application. And then what I can do is I can attach the leaf level of the merchandise hierarchy to the product. What happens is, imagine this to be a kind of a tag. This tag gets attached to the product. So whenever this product is transacted, be it purchased or sold, refunded, etc., whenever this product is transacted, this tag would always remain along with it. And then that basis the tag, I can run different reports under my dashboard. So like a couple of reports in dashboards which utilize the merchandise hierarchy functionality. So that's one important consideration when it comes to this. When you say view inventory at the product level, obviously all the warehouses, if I pick up any one of them, let's say mine is the avenues, okay, it shows up the different locations within that particular store. So remaining on the product itself, another point I wanted to talk about, obviously you can do a stock transfer of the product from one warehouse or one store to the other store. What you can, however, not do is move the product from one location in a warehouse or in a store to other location in the other warehouse. So location transfer happens within the store, otherwise stock transfer happens across the stores also. Just saying, it's obvious, but I thought I'll just still say it. Okay, that's as far as item is concerned. We talk about merchandise hierarchy. You guys will excuse me, I'm running this slightly fast, but I think given that there is so much to cover today, I think I'll just much rather. These are simple stuff. There's nothing too great about here. These are simple stuff. We've spoken about this. I've shown you in the transactions, like fulfillment plan, for example. I did mention delivery type or sales type fulfillment plan. Okay, so this is as far as product is concerned. If I go to my business partner, obviously I have a customer. Customers could be created by directional. As in, I can create in iVend, it goes into the core accounting ERP in the back end or not. Okay. Again, code, salutation, title, first name, last name. What is important for me to mention here is that let's say you walk into a retail store. Okay, you walk into the retail store, and more often than not, the cashier asks you the question, are you already a loyalty member? So, well, you may or you may not be a loyalty member. If you are one, then you identify yourself. If you're not, the cashier says, would you like to become a loyalty member? You're still thinking. The cashier is scanning the items and he's engaging in a conversation. Maybe you decide to become a loyalty member. So you take your time to decide and say, yeah, okay, fine, make me a loyalty member. Doesn't really matter. So you become a loyalty member. So what happens is the application allows the cashier actually to create a customer in the middle of the transaction and then start using it. So let's say you're buying 15 pieces, okay, and the cashier is scanning them one by one and engaging you in a conversation. Somewhere in between, you confirm, yeah, okay, make me a loyalty member, doesn't matter. You become a loyalty member. The cashier need not cancel the transaction. It can still create you as a loyalty member and continue scanning from the 6th, 7th, and 8th item. So the point I'm trying to make here is that at the point of sale level, it's very convenient. What is also very convenient is that you don't have to enter all this information at the point of sale level to create a customer. So all you need is the name, the group that you want to attach that customer to, and maybe a mobile number. That's about it. You have the option of making fields mandatory or not mandatory. So you can always do I think we do a right click here and say, make this field mandatory, set the maximum length. You can do this at the field level. You can change the caption, which I did in my till setup. You can change the caption, change the layout as well. So you can do that, all the good stuff at runtime. You can, if it is a loyalty customer, because you mentioned somewhere that the customer is a loyalty member and you want to enable loyalty notification, you specify the loyalty program. System will automatically start telling you, okay, what are the total points awarded? What are the total points being redeemed? What is its current level, available points, total expired points, etc. So you get this information here. This screen can be accessed obviously from the management console, can also be accessed from the point of sale should the cashier have the rights to do so. So that's as far as this is concerned. I think there's a question in between. Let me pick that up. Okay, Bernard, I think I just answered the question. The question is, when you look at the product, there are a lot of fields. Is it possible to customize and just see the fields that are necessary for me? Yes, you can always do that. I think we just did it for the customer. You can always hide it, change the label, make it mandatory, etc. You can always do all that. Okay. Then after this, before I move to the e-commerce part, okay, I just want to touch upon, we did talk about commissions. I think we did talk about commissions. Well, that's an important topic. Again, it's asked very often. How are the sales commissions mentioned? We did talk about that you can attach a sales customer to a transaction. You can have mandatorily, you can have more than one salesperson in the transaction. We did not specifically talk about the commissions. What the system allows you to do is to specify that this commission is to be split between the 2 or 3 salespeople in such and such percentage. What it does not do, however, is do the actual calculation of the commissions. It just specify what percentage the commission is to be split. It doesn't do the actual calculation. And similarly, we have a very comprehensive till management. So we do all that stuff, but what we do not do is bank reconciliation. That's coming in the next versions. The entire ability to do deposit slips, banking, and managing the bank in terms of what has been deposited, what was the deposit slip to the bank, etc. All that exercise. So the reconciliation at the bank level, reconciliation of currencies and tenders at the store level pertaining to the bank, currently system does not do. So that's as far as this is concerned. I think that's it for as far as these are concerned. I just want to start the e-commerce bit. I just want to take a small pause and see if there are any questions, because I'm cognizant of the time today. We have 45 minutes for the session left, and I just want to be very sure that I'm able to cover the topics, also answer the questions if there are any. All right, so let's keep going. Let's try and see what happens on e-commerce. Well, there's a question. Hang on, just wait. Robin wants to know, I forgot to ask if the system connects to electronic shelf labels. Well, that's the question. Let me read it again for the benefit of the audience. Is it possible that the system connects to electronic shelf labels? So, no, we don't have that functionality right now, but we've been wanting to develop this for a long time. So let's say you have electronic shelf labels. Okay, you want to have a feature where you change the pricing in one central location and it should automatically change at all the places. We currently don't have it, but there are third-party solutions. We do that. We can integrate with them using the APIs. So the APIs basically integrate not only to ERP solutions, but also to any third-party solution that you want to integrate it to. Yes, David, thank you. David Thury wants to know, Manish, you forgot to explain the matrix. Yes, give me a moment. Let me try and explain the matrix item. The best way to do that is I go here and I go to my product list. I was on this screen earlier, but I did not really remember the matrix item. So let's say 10116. Now I remember it. Okay, so this is a product list. I just say search. So what it does is this particular item is, no, this is not the one that I was looking for. Give me a second. No, one moment. Give me, guys, give me just, I'll pause the screen and pick up that item. Just bear with me for a moment. Just bear with me for a moment. It was something like, yeah. This is the one that I was talking about. 10116. Okay, let's go back to the product list and pick up 10116. 10116 is the item, okay, and it's called the Apex Bionic Jacket. It has a few child items. Okay, let me show them to you. So different colors, different shades of brown, different shades of black, different sizes. So brown extra large, brown double XL, black large, black medium, black small, black XL, etc. All these are mentioned here. Okay. Then you have short description, long description, all the information that you typically would need at the product level is mentioned. And I tell you where it becomes very nice. Okay, so sales factual quality. The entire product master, which was vertical that we saw a while ago, is now all horizontal. The entire thing is now displayed horizontally. Okay. Then I can see the inventory view. Okay, so let's say I can see it by product by warehouse, or by product by store, or I can see by store by a particular product. I can see both ways. I can see whether it has upsells and alternate products or not. And then I can also see the matrix view. What that means is I want to see in the main store only the available to sell. My primary attribute is color and my secondary attribute is size, search. It says here it's by color, by size. Okay. So black color, double XL, XL, large, medium, small. Similarly, brown color, double XL, XL, etc. So I have my primary attribute color and secondary attribute size. That means colors will come here and sizes will come here. If I flip it around by size and by color, it'll show me like this. So it says these are my extra large sizes for item and these are different colors which are available. So in the main store, I do not have double XL blue, double XL gray, yellow, red, green. I only have browns and blacks. And if I want to go to the other store, if I have different stores available, I can just pick this up. It'll populate. It's a demo stack environment. I can only have one store. But imagine if I had multiple stores running, I would have picked up the store. It would have showed me the quantity here. All right. The same thing is also available on the point of sale. If I go to the point of sale, 10116 was the product. Go here. First, close this. Okay, my primary attribute is, let's say, color, and my 2D attribute and my 2D attribute is size, and I say search. Okay, it shows me browns and blacks, different sizes. If I pick any one of them, it'll give me information of ID, description, product group, quantity available in this particular store. If I go to the other tab, it'll show me the quantity available of this particular item across the different stores that I have. Okay, so that's how this will work. And if I want to select a particular item, I just press this, this, and this. Let's say these are the three things that I want. These are three items that I want to buy. Press OK. It'll automatically load up on the point of sale. Now, that's as far as how cool it is. But let me try and explain how does it really work. Now, the way it really works is somewhere in the product screen, I specify whether an item is a matrix item or not. Okay, so let's say I pick up the same 10116. If I pick it up, okay, and I say edit, I would specify somewhere whether it's a matrix item and it's a 2D matrix item. When I say 2D matrix, that means it has two-dimensional. So I have colors and sizes. Okay, I could have color, sizes, style. I can have a color, size, style, etc. I can have that, and at any point in time, I can select those attributes to see how it really works. So that's as far as my matrix items are concerned. You define them somewhere in the application when you're trying to define them. This particular installation is because it is integrated to SAP Business One. So the entire product definition happens there. I won't be able to show it here, but if it is an unplugged environment, you define the entire, should I say, attributes, which is color and size, let's say, is an attribute. Then you specify the attribute values, let's say brown and gray and blue and black. And similarly, the attribute values for the size, let's say small, medium, large, extra large. You also specify the order in which the attributes have to come. You specify the order and the, should I say, what is going to be the dash or a comma in between, which separates one attribute from the other. You specify all that, and then the items get automatically created. If you see here, so 10116, black large, black medium, black small, black XL, black double XL, brown large, brown medium, brown small, brown extra large, brown double XL. And you can always have images here. So that's as far as matrix items are concerned. As I said, I'm kind of rushing through this primarily because I have topics to cover. But if you have any other questions, please go ahead. I would be more than happy to answer them. I think, David, I answered the matrix part of it. Let's keep going. Let's keep going for now. And let's try and see what happens on iVend e-commerce. Very briefly, I want to take you through an overview of the product. Okay. Last time I had a small glitch. Let's see if it is able to work this time. So while we wait for that, I have a question in between. Yeah, David, thank you. Most welcome, David. I was able to answer the question. So the other things, as I said, that I wanted to cover from an e-commerce standpoint, one, of course, is an overview. So I spoke about the licensing, that iVend e-commerce is licensed for a domain. I also spoke about that an iVend e-commerce is essentially managed, if you may, pretty much like a store. The other thing that I want to mention about iVend e-commerce is because e-commerce is all about images. If you would have noticed that I can attach only one image of the product in iVend Enterprise, be it at the ERP level or at the iVend Enterprise level, I can attach only one image. One image would not suffice for e-commerce. So what iVend e-commerce does is it allows you to attach additional images. So imagine you are in the footwear business. So in the footwear business, you would like to have more than one image of the footwear into the left side, the top, the bottom, the heel. Similarly, if you're in apparel, you want to show the collar, the cuffs, the cufflinks, etc. So you want more than one images. So iVend and e-commerce allows you to upload as many as 10 different images, which could include a video also. You can upload them. That bit happens from iVend e-commerce, the admin portal of iVend e-commerce. We are not going there today because we have a specific training session that we conduct for iVend e-commerce. The idea is to give you an overview as to how that really works. Okay, so that's in terms of the number of images on iVend e-commerce. Let's see, get started. No, this is silly. We'll let it come up. Okay, the other thing I want to talk about, and I think I did mention last time we were attempting this, is that any e-commerce site, pretty much like iVend e-commerce, has any e-commerce site, pretty much like iVend e-commerce, has 4 broad sections. Okay, the home page, the entity page, the product page, and the single page checkout. All the sites, if you kind of generalize it, would all have a home page, an entity page, a product, and a single page single page checkout pages. So at the home page, what you see on the screen, home, apparel, electronic, furniture, jewelry, daily, etc. All these come automatically from the ERP at the back end, or iVend Enterprise. Essentially, iVend Enterprise. It'll come directly from iVend Enterprise to this place. Okay. And then what happens is you have the option of specifying which all product groups is what you want to mention here. Similarly, all the categories, these are the categories that we had defined, they automatically come here. You have the option at the iVend, should I say, e-commerce admin panel to decide which order you want to specify. This gets automatically populated: best-selling items, the new arrivals, popular categories, etc. And you have the option of specifying all the good stuff. For example, you could subscribe to a particular retailer. Just mention your email ID, and that's all you need for subscription. Okay, so first is the home page. Okay, most of the things happen automatically. Obviously, you decide the banners, the size of the banners, what you want to display here. All that is a part of configuration that happens. So 2 parts to iVend e-commerce. One is management of master data. Thankfully, you don't really have to manage the master data because that automatically gets integrated from iVend Enterprise. What you only have to manage, which you would anyways be managing in any e-commerce site, are the images and the banners. Okay, so that's usually as a retailer, that's all you have to focus about. Then we have the second set of pages, which is my entity pages. So entity pages essentially for a particular subcategory, if you may, like apparel, under the apparel section, the men's section. Under that, all those entities, if you may, all the products that you want to list in one go are mentioned on the entity page. The entity page obviously will have a banner, will have the way you display the product, etc. The entity page would allow you to basically filter out what is it that you want, the way you want to filter them, by brand or by loyalty points. This is another very interesting thing that most of the other solutions don't allow you to do. That is, you can decide as a retailer that these are the products available only for my loyalty members, and they can only be purchased by redeeming loyalty points. So you could control that. And then you can also control how much that you want to have a list all those products which require me to pay only so many loyalty points. You can just filter it here. Okay. You can obviously do it by size, by color, by category, by brands. The entity page also allows you to browse the entire collection that you have. Okay. let's go to the product page. So if I click here, I go to the product page. The product page allows you to display all the different images of the product. You would be allowed to like the product, send a link to someone if you want to send out to, all that good stuff, can be done on the product page. Okay, and what system also does is it'll tell you if you're running some kind of a promotion on a particular item, it'll tell you automatically that there is a promotion or a scheme available for this particular item. You can always do a cash on delivery availability at your particular zip code. You can send the link. You can compare. So you can compare two or more than two products if you want to. So you can just add to compare functionality, and you can compare different products that you want to compare. You can certainly send a link to a friend that this is what I'm liking, etc. So that's as far as the product page is concerned. But what is important for me to mention is that when we are trying to complete a transaction, when you're trying to check out from an e-commerce site, okay, how does the system manage the credit card information? So you have the option as a retailer to, pretty much like the Amazon model, you can save a card. You can save a particular card on the site so that you don't have to every time punch in the card, the CVV numbers and the other pins and numbers that you have to mention. So you don't have to mention it, you just save it. What the application does, however, it does not, if you've saved it, then it saves the information. Otherwise, it does not save the credit card information. And similarly, if you could be buying as an anonymous user. So currently I'm an anonymous user. I haven't logged in yet. If I'm buying as an anonymous user, I can complete the entire transaction. What I would not be able to do, however, is basically track the order of sorts. I would not be able to do that if I'm an anonymous user. Okay, so other than that, it's pretty simple and straight. What is important again for me to mention, because it is just like any other retail store, the way it is managed. So you can have the same price list available here, or you can change the price list. You can have the other features, like for example, if an item is out of stock, then what happens? Do you want to display that item? You don't want to display the item. If you're displaying the item as item out of stock, would you like the customer to be reminded back? The customer can leave his email. So the standard stuff that most of the e-commerce sites do is always available. Things like, back in stock, shipments. You could ship either from the e-commerce site using the admin panel, or you could ship from the back office operation using iVend Retail or the ERP in case you are integrated with an ERP. So all that good stuff certainly can be done. So this is what happened last time also, day one, when we are trying to do it. It becomes rather slow because I'm projecting on a GoToMeeting session. So, but I think I don't want to really take everybody's time in trying to complete a transaction. We did that the first day. I will specify my email address. I'll give the delivery address, summarize the order, pick up the shipping option, deliver at my home, or pick up at the store, specify the payment amount, and I'll be done. So that's what really I would be doing. I don't really want to complete the transaction cycle here, just because it'll just take a while. Okay. That said, I will again like to take a pause here and open the forum for any questions that you may have. As I said, you'll excuse me, I'm rushing through the e-commerce part of it, more because I have a lot to cover and we only have now about half an hour left. All right, so while we wait for you guys to kind of think of a question, let me keep walking. Okay, so we talked about all the other parts of iVend Detail. Let me try and talk about iVend Loyalty. Okay, we were talking about licensing earlier. So iVend Loyalty is a subscription only, available only on subscription only licensing model. And I will couple of things I want to talk about when it comes to iVend loyalty. The first thing is when we talk about the setup. Okay, uh, when we talk about the setup of the, should I say, the header, if you may. Okay, when we specify the loyalty program, you give uh, the code and a description, and then you talk about the registration method. There are a few ways in which you can manage the registration method. Let's say either you could have a loyalty card attached to the customer code. So that's a 1:1 combination, the third one here. So every customer has a unique loyalty card. In our case, customer C0019, Edward Robinson, is a loyalty member and has a loyalty card attached to him. The other is where the loyalty card is, the number could be different, and the loyalty card could be different. And the other is you only have a loyalty card. It is not attached to anyone. That is not attached to anyone. You just have a loyalty card. In the case where you select only the loyalty card, in that case, what happens is anybody who has that card, it's the card which has the point, it's the card which accumulates and redeems the points. Anybody who holds the card is the one who could be the beneficiary of the transaction being done. So three modes: loyalty card attached to the customer code, just the customer code, or just the loyalty card. Okay. Then I have what is the card management. Okay. Are these pre-printed cards, or it auto-generated or user-defined? Okay. In our case, in my case, in the case of DemoStack that has installed, it is all user-defined. Then the level allocation mechanism. Okay. Total available points, total awarded points. And I'll come to this setup after I have given you a kind of a background of how it really works. I don't want to go through a field by field kind of an explanation. I just want to give you a broad overview of what the application could potentially do. So you could either have the loyalty cards based as individual cards, which could be the card itself manages all the points. You could have a card which is to a customer or attached to a customer code. So three different ways of registration. You could then define the different levels, like for example, bronze, silver, gold, platinum. You have bronze level, silver, gold, and platinum. At every level, you can specify what are the minimum points required for me to attain that level. So let's say bronze, you don't need any points. Let's say for silver, you need 200. For gold, you need 400. And for platinum, let's say you need 600 points. Fair enough. We go further. So you define bronze, silver, gold, platinum. You define the threshold limits. You can also define that at the platinum level, if you are a platinum customer, every point would translate into some currency units. Okay. So let's say at the platinum level, every point is one currency unit. At the gold level, let's say it's 0.75 of the currency unit. And at the silver, it is half. And at bronze, it's 0.25. So you can specify what is your points to currency ratio. Then you can also specify that if you are, let's say, a platinum customer, how many points can you redeem in one single transaction? So what you really want to do is, while every platinum member has a 1:1, every point is one currency unit, you don't really want all the points to be redeemed in one go, because you just want to retain the person as much as you possibly can. So you can define the different levels, as you can see here on the screen. You can define bronze, silver, gold, platinum. You can define the different levels. You can specify the minimum threshold points to conversion ratio, and what's the redemption percentage. That means if you are, this screen has just the other way around, but if you are a platinum member, you would not like your platinum member to redeem all their points, where you would not mind your bronze customers redeem all the points. What that really means is that on one hand, you as a retailer are trying to give the benefits to the customer by points to currency conversion. On the same hand, you don't really want to have most of the points, your entire sale transaction being consumed in a loyalty transaction, despite the fact that loyalty is nothing but a contingent liability. So you could control all that. You can control all the good stuff. when we talk about the different levels. Okay. Uh, then uh, then we have the loyalty plan as such. You define the loyalty plan. In this case, I've defined a very basic loyalty plan. But before I go there, I just want to make it slightly more complex. So we defined the different levels. We defined the accumulation policy, that the threshold levels, and we defined the redemption plan in terms of how much percentage can a platinum or a gold or a silver member can redeem. What I can also define are special days. So we spoke about special days somewhere earlier in the sessions. I think we talked about that yesterday in promotions. So we can specify special days. Some special days are common across all customers. For example, the National Day, the Republic Day, the Independence Day, etc. So these are generic everyone. Okay, the President's Day, whatever that. I mean, all countries have a national day, at least one national day. So you can specify that, okay, on a special day, you get twice the loyalty points. On a special day, you get twice the value of your loyalty point for redemption purposes. Then there are special days which are very specific to individuals. So for example, birthdays and anniversaries. So you can specify, okay, on the special days to Manish, or all the special days of Manish, which is birthdays and anniversary, he would get, let's say, 3 times the loyalty points. But what if my special day happens to be on that national day, which is common for everyone? You can specify in the system that in the event of a conflict, the conflict has to be resolved by offering the maximum points, the minimum points, the average points to the customers. So you can control that as to how the loyalty points can be managed. Then there is quite a possibility when you try and position iVend Retail to a prospective retailer, he's already using a loyalty program. So it allows you to iVend Loyalty allows you to kind of inherit, or pretty much like opening balances. You can have the same levels. You can have the opening balances. You can import all that data. When I say data, I'm talking about only balances, not the transactional data. It allows you to migrate from an older system, including the balances. Okay, so let's now open the basic plan and see how it really works. So in this case, what I've done is it runs from a start, a loyalty program and a code and a description. Okay, it's a normal plan. It has a start date and end date, and a start time and an end time. And these are the parameters on which this would typically work. So it runs for all customers. I could run a loyalty program for a specific group of customers or a specific customer itself. When I say specific group of customers, let's say I want to run a loyalty program only for my gold customers. Okay, so I could run for that particular group. Let's say if I want to pick up at the group level, I can specify the level where it should be bronze, silver, gold, platinum. I could run the program for a particular group. My criteria could either be a bill value or a bill quantity or item group promotion labels. What that means is that potentially I could run a loyalty program for a specific item group. So we have a customer in Asia Pacific, and what they've done is it's a supermarket environment. What they've done is they've tied up with Procter & Gamble, and they've tied up with Visa card. And the way they've done it is that every time a loyalty customer buys Procter & Gamble, which is from a particular group called Procter & Gamble, whenever Procter & Gamble product is bought and the customer tenders out using a Visa card, the customer would be awarded twice the loyalty points. So I can create that. And so if you were to offer such a loyalty program to your customers, everybody benefits. Obviously, the customer benefits because he gets twice the points. The retailer benefits because his inventory is moving fast. Visa is benefited because people are using Visa card. Procter & Gamble, the product group owner, the manufacturer, is benefited because their product is moving faster on the shelf. So, and the additional value that the retailer is offering to the consumer, the retailer then spoke to both Visa and Procter and Gamble and said, "Fine, I'm giving the twice the points. So all the transaction additional value that I'm giving should be given back to me as some kind of an MDF or a promotional campaign." So you could the point I'm trying to make here is that the loyalty program is rather clever, where you could run it not only by bill value that we normally think of, okay, but it could be run on product group, it could be run on specific promotion. So let's say you want to have end of season clearance sale. You create a promotion and you superimpose on top of the promotion a loyalty program. So for this promotion, all 5 pieces at a flat value of 500, okay, if you are buying items under this promotion and if you're a loyalty customer, you would be getting, let's say, additional loyalty points. So you could control all that. Okay, so bill value for every transaction, okay, because it is criteria as bill value, my calculation basis is amount. Had it been, let's say, all, I could specify either by amount or by quantity. What that means is I could run a loyalty program which is quantity based. You buy 15 pieces. If you have 15 pieces that you have bought and you're a loyalty member, you would get additional points. I could base my calculation on every transaction or every transaction which is greater than or equal to a specific number. So every sixth transaction, okay, my calculation value is 100. I did not specify the tender, but I could specify the tender value here, which could be a Visa or a MasterCard or whatever, and I award points. So in this case, in the simplest of cases, what I've done is I'm running by value, okay, my criteria group is bill value for every transaction, and for every 100 currency units, I give 10 loyalty points. It's the simplest of cases. That's most of the people do it that way. And then I can add additional exception rules where I could specify that for loyalty to work, exclude all items of promotions, exclude all items with a discount override, exclude all items with a discount greater than such percentage, etc. So I can specify these exceptions when I'm doing the loyalty program. So if you take a deep breath and look back, okay, you realize that it is fairly flexible. Okay, it allows you to fit in most of the things together. Okay, not only, we just spoke about product groups, tender types, loyalty customers, calculation basis being on either quantity or value. So it is reasonably flexible, and there have been many requests that we have where a retailer would like to say, okay, fine, Manish, I just want to use your loyalty program. The entire product is good, but I just want to use a loyalty engine. You could do that. You can just take the loyalty engine, I wouldn't say out of it, but you license only loyalty, and you, because loyalty is kind of directly integrated with the point of sale, you write that integration using APIs and SDKs, and you could just, a retailer could potentially use only the loyalty program. So that's as far as the loyalty is concerned. I think I'll open the forum for any questions if there are any. Okay, so first one is Robin, and Andy, I'll come to in a moment. Robin says, is it possible to notify loyalty customers that the retailer is burning the points and is encouraging the clients to visit the store up the points for a given period? Or let me read it again, sorry. Is it possible to notify loyalty customers that the retailer is burning the points and is encouraging the clients to visit a store to use their points over a given period? Okay, let me try and understand and open the lines again for you, Robin. What is being asked for is, can I specify the applicable stores? I can specify that this loyalty program runs in these stores in these time zones. What I could also do, this means that what I could also do is I can specify all gold members, if they shop with me on a Wednesday afternoon, 2 to 4, when the footfall on the store is really low, is the lowest. Wednesday afternoon, 2 to 4, in a particular store, you get towards the loyalty points. So I can certainly run a loyalty program. I can actually add a row here, okay, which will allow me to run a loyalty program of that sort. Not sure, Robin, I kind of understood the question well enough, but just to add, this is what I could potentially do. The next question from Andy is, how would the system know I paid with Visa to operate the loyalty option you just described? Okay, all right. So what I do is, so that's a question from Andy. He's saying, how would the system know that I paid through the Visa card? What really happens is, whenever you define the different tender types, let me show that to you on the point of sale screen. When you define the tender types, let's say go to payments. So when you're defining this credit card, for example, I would be creating a tender specifically for a Visa credit card. So what happens is, and moreover, the EFT machines are smart enough to understand that. So the cashier will have to be slightly careful to select the most appropriate tender type here. It's not the intelligence that I'm trying to build into the application where, irrespective of what card you swipe, the information from the EFT machine goes into the application and then triggers of the loyalty program. I'm not doing that. I'm just being, I'm relying on the cashier to pick up the most appropriate tender type, Andy. Then David wants to. David says. David Webb is saying that you can have multiple loyalty programs. You can apply a different loyalty digital pass per program if not considered to be added in the solution in the future. All right. Let me read the question again. You can have multiple loyalty programs. Can you apply a different loyalty digital pass per program? Okay. What I think what David is trying to ask is that for a particular loyalty program, when I'm dishing out the loyalty card, could it be different depending on what I'm doing? Currently, I don't do that, but possibly could be considered in the future. All right, so that's as far as the loyalty bit is concerned. As I said, I've been rushing through this because I have now only about 10 odd minutes left before I urge everyone to kind of take the certification exams. Some of you already have, by the way. For example, Andy has cleared one of the exams. Peter has cleared one of the exams. Kelly has cleared an exam. So thank you so much, guys. But for others, I would sincerely suggest that you kind of take the certification exam. So excuse me. So we covered most of the topics. We covered a licensing overview, which spoke about upgrades and updates. I'm having my notes in front of me, so I'm just going through them. We very briefly talked about the user. No, I don't think we talked about user and the rights at all. So let me very briefly go there. Okay, we will talk about the users. So I go to iVend Management Console, Administration. First, I go to Human Resources. I define the different employees that I may have. Then I go to Authorization. I define the roles and the users. Okay, so I could have different roles: an administrator role, a cashier role, and so on and so forth. And then I define the different users. Okay, I have, Sarah, Priya, cashier, and so on and so forth. I have these users that I define, and somewhere I define the authorization template, which essentially, sorry, lost it. Give me a second. Somewhere I've specified, sorry guys, somewhere I would specify that, these are the transaction types. You have read-only access, you have edit access, you have add, modify, view, delete accesses. So I specify that. So again, listen carefully. I define an employee, I define a role, I define a user which has an employee and the role attached. And then I also, because I have a role, I have attached the different responsibilities or the options that he may have for the when you say assign security rights, I can specify the security rights. That's the word I was looking for, that you can attach to a particular role. One important thing when we talk about roles and users here is that something that I don't think many applications do, but we do it very well, is apart from the security bit. So you have rights and roles, multiple ways to log in using a biometric finger scanning, swiping a card, user ID and password. In addition to that, what we also have is something called a training mode. So let's say a new cashier joins in, or a new store, typically cashier joins in, and you want him to get training on the real data. So he's able to see, he was able to conduct transactions. He gets his hand on, understand the different products. Most of the cashiers memorize the product codes. So you want him to be trained, want to get a training on that, on the real data. So you can, when you create a user, you can specify whether this user would be a production user or would be both. Let's say this one. Would it be just a production user or would it be a training user or both? So if I specify a training user, what will happen is the cashier would be able to log into the training database. You would be able to do all the transactions, but the transaction will not really kind of get posted. So there's no impact of the transaction. He'll get to see everything the way he would see in the real life, but he would not be kind of not be posting any transactions. This is something where we're different from most of the others, that we have a concept of a training user. I think that's pretty much it. That's pretty much it in the short span of time that I had. I think we still covered a significant ground. I would now like to open the forum for any questions that you may have. I'll try and answer as many as I possibly can. Before I let you guys go, we'll certainly take the certification exam. All right, I think we don't have many questions today. Peter has been rather quiet, I would say. All right, so I think that said, with that said, what I will do is let me open that page on the knowledge portal, okay, where you can take the certification exam. Thank you, Pete. Peter says he's here in spirit. Thank you so much for that. So what you would do is you go to the knowledge portal, knowledge.cityx.com, click on certification, and there are two certifications that you can attempt right away. Okay, first is the pre-sales, the second is the implementation phase 1. I am still on the line. I would not close the webinar till the time I see people are attempting. So please don't go away. And as I said, apart from the fact that this is important for you as your representative of your company, one, it's a fun thing on a Friday afternoon, I would say. Please always attempt. Let's see we've been able to retain. And second, on a rather slightly serious note, it's also an element of validation that the faculty did a reasonable job in the last 5 days. So as I said, I won't close the webinar. Let's wait. I'll certainly wait, and let's try and attend the certification exams. Peter says that he has to attend a meeting. I know, Peter, it's okay, fine, fair enough. You did anyways cleared one of the exams last night. John wants to know, when working on enterprise-only server, what can I do in terms of transaction scan, for example? Oh, this is a very important question, John. Very, very pertinent question. Is that if I'm working on the enterprise alone, and enterprise is not the store also, what are the different transactions that I can do? So obviously you can do, let me show it on the screen. operations, business transactions. You can do these, simply put. You can raise a purchase order, you can do a stock transfer request, you can do a stock transfer shipment, certainly do a good receipt and a good receipt PO. Won't be doing at the head office, but have the options. So all these options which are available here from a transaction standpoint, you will certainly be able to do at the head office. You can also do it on behalf of the store, but you would much rather be able to kind of do the transaction at the store level. So Andy says, he says, thank you so much. Thank you, Andy. Thank you for your appreciation. He liked the session today. John says, I will not have time for the test right now. No problem. Andy, just as a note to you, there was I would say, very good participation from the NCR partners, I would say. So thank you so much for arranging all that for us. John says, we will not have time to rest right now, certainly do it tomorrow. Robin says, he has raised a support ticket and they want to arrange connect my machine with the specific stuff. No, you don't have to do anything. Robin says he has a problem in his installation. He has raised a support ticket. You don't have to install anything. They will send you a go to meeting link. No, not a go to meeting. Log me in link, and they will log in and solve the problem, whatever is there. Okay. Federico says, thanks a lot, Manish. Yes, you're most welcome. Lister says, thank you for the training. Most welcome. As I said, I don't want to pester you on the point, actually. I will let you guys decide what's a good time for you to take the training. These sessions would be available on the knowledge portal. Let me show you where. If I go to the knowledge portal and go to the home page, on the right hand side there's a box here, and then on the left hand side it says click here for the previous trainings. So you would be able to see this session. You'll be able to see this session under the trainings, previous trainings, 5 sessions. Okay. Claudine says, thank you. You're most welcome. Faizan says, thank you. Most welcome, Faizan. I think on that, I'll excuse myself. Thank you so much for your time. And we'll certainly, please be in touch. Send an email to me if you have any kind of questions. I would be your first point of contact as in a conduit for you to guide to the right kind of person, your channel sales manager in the local geography or whosoever. You can always get in touch with me and I can direct it. And thank you very much. Thank you so much for attending. Have a great weekend and we will meet soon. Thank you so much.